More than 2 decades after the first official exploration, at a state level, the federal government says it will chip in more than $260 million to build a bypass around a key New South Wales coal town. Key points. Plans for the Muswellbrook Bypass were first announced by the NSW Coalition Government in November 2000. Plans for the Muswellbrook Bypass were first announced by the NSW Coalition Government in November 2000. The bypass was initially costed at $35 million. The bypass was initially costed at $35 million. A local says he's convinced he will have shuffled off the mortal coil before the road is built. Deputy Prime Minister Barnaby Joyce made the announcement in Muswellbrook, in the marginal Labor-held seat of Hunter. "The money is locked in, it's in the budget," he said. "No silly little games that we're going to make a promise before the election and then it disappears. No, it's locked in." But it is a promise Muswellbrook locals have heard for more than 20 years. A November 2000 press release detailed 3 options for the bypass route, along with an initial costing of $35 million, or $58 million today. All planning, design, land acquisition and environmental investigation should be completed by April 2001, after which construction can begin, the release from National Party Senator Sandy McDonald said. Mr. Joyce says construction will begin in the next 12 months. When asked if the project would finally commence, Mr. Joyce said the coalition had been delivering similar projects in NSW. "Judge us by our actions," he said. "The Scone bypass, it's not a mirage, it's there. We're doing it." John Flood is not convinced the bypass will be up and running within 5 years. Waiting game. Despite the promise of a 2027 delivery from the federal and state governments, 76-year-old rural and water agent John Flood is sure he'll be 6 feet under before the bypass arrives. "It will not be built in my time," he said. "Why?" "Because of procrastination from government and planning," he said. "If the last 20 years have been any indication, why can I expect there will be a change in the process?" Mr. Flood said the bypass was exactly what Muswellbrook needed for its future, despite being convinced there would not be a turn of soil by his 82nd birthday in 2027. "I think it would be a marvelous thing. I dare say it will rejuvenate the town," he said. He argued that the initial change businesses may experience due to loss of highway traffic would be minimal, and that the route could actually engender tourism in Muswellbrook. "The bypass will bring people into the CBD and facilitate an increase in business," Mr. Flood said. Designs for the bypass have been open for public feedback since November 2021. Priority for the region. The bypass will divert New England highway traffic, including thousands of freight trucks per day, away from the heart of Muswellbrook. NSW Regional Roads Minister Sam Farway said early work would begin on the bypass soon, as well as a similar bypass at Singleton to Muswellbrook South. "We will do our best to progress both these projects in a similar timeframe if possible," he said. "We'll aim to finish this bypass by 2027. This is a priority to progress both these bypasses as quickly as possible."